Greetings, adventure travelers and fellow keepers of the lake. How are you all doing? Welcome. This should be a short video. I've just finished filming for the encounter design video, and when I finished filming, I felt something, and I want to talk about it today.
The Barlow.
The topic I wanted to explore today is why I felt like I'm a fraud while talking about those things. Is it because I'm holding my notebook in my hands, but I'm using Obsidian on my laptop for the upcoming session? Was it because I'm talking about all these fantasy things, but I'm actually running a horror campaign in the future? Was it because I don't like being the horror guy on YouTube? Well, I kind of like it still. So where's the problem? And I think the problem lies with how we perceive our GM style. For a long time, I was running only fantasy games. I felt this wanderlust, and it really almost rushed through my veins every day. I wanted to see the vistas of the unexplored hills. I wanted to go on endless journeys across the sea. I wanted to explore new species, new interactions, how magic changes the everyday life of everyone. I wanted to live everything from the Witcher series to Lord of the Rings. I really felt the pull from the fantasy setting, and yeah, we all kind of did, right? So I dedicated my time into crafting terrain that is fantasy, doing session prep just in the notebook. Like, we go away from technology, we want to be immersed into this fantasy land, and I did all of that. We enjoyed it so much. But then I started to feel not a burnout, but I'm kind of saturated with the whole fantasy thing. So then we started playing Call of Cthulhu. I've never enjoyed almost any content from 1920s, so that was a banger. We were exploring this world, this homebrew world that we were building together, and it was very fun. So then I tried running Lamentations of the Flame Princess and a couple of more fantasy games, but it just didn't work. And did I mention that I'm in a fantasy game myself as a player, and I actually enjoyed it quite a lot, so maybe it was the shift. I wanted to be a player in fantasy now, experience that, and not just craft it. But why am I feeling like I'm betraying something I love? Why is using Obsidian so awkward? Well, I think it's because we all develop a style. If you're a musician and you start playing metal, then when you want to switch to maybe reggae, people will ask questions like, how did this personality change happen? And that's the thing, we connect it to personality in a way, but it isn't a thing with art. I think in art, you're constantly striving to push the boundary of what you're able to experience. You develop a certain style in one way, and then you kind of get bored of it and you want to explore somewhere else. And now I don't feel the need to explore the vistas. I don't need those long boat journeys. What I need now is dark alleyways, subtle horror, maybe some psychological nonsense, bank heists, crazy chases through the streets, being involved with the mob, with the police, being in this dystopian city run by this corporation. That is what gets my creative juices flowing right now. So I decided to lean into it. And for that, I decided that I will need a laptop, and I won't prep in one notebook because I want it to be a sandbox. Now, the question of how do you build a sandbox without taking too much time, I will probably go into that, but I'm a guy who takes too much time to prep anyways. When I start prepping, I just can't stop. I love that stuff. I just love it. I think the audience, you can kind of feel how I feel. When I'm very excited about something, you can kind of feel it in the video, and I can feel it while editing. Then how do I explain to myself and you that I don't feel passion for fantasy right now, but I feel it for this thing? I know a lot of you are going to be happy because of the cult video, but the rest of you might think, well, this guy is done with fantasy. That can't be further from the truth. I want to do a lot of thought-provoking philosophical videos on TTRPGs. I want to do a lot of videos on the sessions we're playing right now. And of course, I will always touch upon fantasy and modern and all different types of settings. It's not that, it's the question of why is there this wall that says you can't venture out? I think it's probably fear that you're not as good in the new thing that you're doing as you were in the old one. And we have this need to be loved for a certain thing that we're good at. There is this quote from one music video, like hour-long mix for programming and like hacking and stuff on the computer. I used to listen to that in my high school. But there's this one insert, maybe you know where the original source is, but it says, when you create art from the need to be loved, you do your best. And I would just focus on when you create art from the need to be loved. I think we all create art because we need to get it out of our system, but we also feel this great joy when people are actually consuming it and enjoying it. So maybe it's the fear of disappointing your players, disappointing your viewers, from which we are scared to try new things. But let this video be a reminder for you and for myself that we shouldn't be scared. We shouldn't be scared to venture into different things. I'm not the cult guy. I'm not a guy that talks about just philosophical stuff on his channel about TTRPGs. I'm not someone who is prepping their stuff just in a notebook. I'm an artist. I like to think of myself as an artist. I'm trying to use the tools that are good for the job. And this mindset of finding a category for yourself is quite limiting. Even like in my professional life, I have met people that say for themselves, not I'm a software engineer, but I'm a Java software engineer, for example, or a .NET software engineer. For those who don't know, those are technologies like programming languages and stuff. And I know people have this theory that you should develop your knowledge as a upside down T, where you're like really good in one thing and you're like okay-ish in other. Really? Like what? You're gonna tell me that one programming language or one way of preparation is the best way to do it and you will never change and you will always like that one thing? I mean, great if you have found that one vertical slice of like your industry or expression that works for you perfectly every time. You have beaten this game. For the rest of us, we should like use that as encouragement to be good at something, but not use it as a excuse to limit ourselves from exploring. And when you're prepping, try something new. Tell to your players, like, this one is going to be experimental. Ask them what they think. Like, we're talking about TTRPGs here, but just think about that pattern, seeing the option A and the option B, and you've always been in the option A, so now if you go to the option B, you feel like a traitor. Why is that? Why couldn't you be familiar with both? These are not factions. Of course, I think internet really doesn't help with this. Theater of the mind versus the maps. Should you run grid or gridless? Should you be prepping like this or that? Like, doesn't matter. Today I'm going to play a gridless game. Tomorrow I'm gonna play with a grid. But maybe for the next 3 sessions I'll play Theater of the Mind. These like opposing opinion type of videos also don't help the case, and we start feeling like this. Honestly, I didn't have a script for this. I just wanted to sit down, talk to you, see what will come out. This is just us sitting down and having a sincere conversation here. So go, create stuff, run games, do stuff, tell people, I'm experimenting. Maybe someone likes your experimentation even better than anything you've done before, and you have made their day just a tiny bit better, which is like what we strive to do. And with that, I bid you farewell, friend.